What's up, guys? This video is in response to a question sent in by Jimmy6161. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I wanted to talk about why am I so self obsessed, right? Because you'd be forgiven for thinking that if you looked at my channel. And you know what? I kind of am. And I don't really know why. Um, I have some theories, like I used to be kind of free as a child, as we all, well, not all of us, but most of us were. But then, you kind of get a bit self-conscious. Maybe you fall into some bad groups as you get into adolescence. You naturally become self-conscious, and I guess a lot of us kind of we feel a bit awkward, a bit anxious, but we end up kind of fitting in, and it's a bit rough, but we get there. Some of us, I would say, we never really fit in. We never get through that stage. If we're neurodivergent, if we have, I don't know, severe acne, just whatever the fuck, we're just a bit weird. Anything, right? And yeah, and then I think for me, it's like when that starts to sink in, and maybe you lose some friends along the way, and you're a bit isolated, you feel a bit vulnerable. It's like there's a few different paths you can go down, I think, but I think I ended up just being a bit I never fully lost all my friends and stuff, so I was always in a group, but I ended up being a bit hyper vigilant. I was sort of just in school or whatever, sort of just always looking around, watching is something gonna happen? Is there gonna be some kind of commotion? Are people looking at me? Am I gonna be pressed for being different? Am I gonna be under attack soon? So you become hyper vigilant, but then it becomes you sort of check yourself, because you're well, I need to make sure I'm fitting in and stuff, and you're watching other people to see if they're watching you. But then it slowly evolves to when you walk into a room, and you instantly, your body starts to be are people watching me? Am I looking good? How am I coming across right now? Or maybe you even go into some kind of fantasy of damn, I look really good, or I feel cool, or whatever. Everyone's watching me, and it's that's why I think those two things of I don't fit in, I feel vulnerable and scared. I need to check if people are looking at me, and ego of I hope people are watching me, like especially if you're a bit of a performer, that's in your genes anyway, and you kind of like people watching you. It's I don't know, I think at some point it just blends, and you just become you get I don't know, you're still a performer, but it's becomes internal, and you end up just I think it's a form of control, self-control in a way, but maybe too much self-control, where it's oh, I need to monitor myself to make sure that I don't fall out of line. And then it just becomes, I just want to monitor myself, and I don't really care if I fall out of line or not. I'm just in the habit of monitoring myself to make sure things are going okay. But then it's too much that, and then you're just always monitoring yourself, and you're not really involved in the outside world so much, because the outside world still scares you. You never really got over that. You never really let go. So you don't really get into actual relationships with the people around you. because you never really let your guard down, and you don't really want to anyway, because it feels like you're losing your independence that you like ended up having to like rely on. Because before it was like a safety measure of like, oh, just I'll go on my own, and then it's like, oh, that's what I'm used to now. I know how I like to do things. Like, I'm so used to being in control that like I'm not just gonna just be friends with just anybody and give up a little bit of control, or give myself a little bit to my friends and a relationship and my family, and like it's like no, that's not how we do things around here. It's like it's like it comes from fear, but then eventually it just turns into just like that's just like it just becomes like I don't know, just like who you are. But then there is always something underneath, I think. But like you have to you have to change and like grow, and that's not always easy, and it's not always linear. Everyone, growth isn't always linear. Preach, brother. But yeah, you know what I'm saying.